Hate is baggage. Life's too short to be pissed off all the time. American History X wasn't just a brutal tale of racism in Los Angeles. It was a war zone of filmmaking, clashing egos, and raw emotional truths. What audiences saw on screen looked seamless, but behind the camera, chaos erupted. From explosive conflicts between the director and studio to dangerous on-set tensions that mirrored the film's own violence, the making of this movie was as fraught as its story. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 15 weird facts about American History X, the shocking little-known secrets that shaped the movie forever. And wait until you hear the bonus fact. It might change how you view the entire film. Let's dive in. Edward Norton rewrote the script behind the director's back. Edward Norton wasn't just the star of American History X, he reshaped the entire movie. Director Tony Kaye wanted a lean 95-minute cut, but Norton allegedly added scenes and even restructured parts of the narrative during post-production. He pushed for flashbacks, reordered the timeline, and extended Derek's redemption arc. Kaye claimed the studio sided with Norton, effectively handing creative control to the actor. "The film I set out to make never got made," Kaye fumed later. What audiences didn't know is that the version we see today, powerful, emotional, and centered on Norton's transformation, is as much his creation as it is Kaye's. Not the director's singular vision, but a star's bold rewrite. The tension between the two men remains legendary, proving how ego and artistry can collide to redefine a movie. Tony Kaye tried to disown the film. After the studio backed Norton's version, Tony Kaye went nuclear. Furious at losing control, he launched a bizarre public campaign against his own film. Kaye reportedly spent over $100,000 on full-page ads in Variety, blasting both the studio and Norton. He even attempted to have his name removed from the credits and replaced with Humpty Dumpty. The Directors Guild refused, stating that pseudonyms had to be approved in advance. Kaye's tantrum turned into a Hollywood cautionary tale, a filmmaker so unwilling to compromise he torched his own reputation. Not the proud debut of a visionary director, but a spectacular implosion. What audiences saw on screen was a masterpiece of intensity, but behind it was a director at war with everyone, especially himself. The opening scene nearly got axed. The shocking curb stomp scene that defines Derek Vineyard's brutality almost didn't make it into the final cut. Studio executives feared it was too graphic, too repellent, and risked alienating audiences. But Norton fought hard to keep it. He argued that sanitizing Derek's violence would gut the story's impact. "You have to see the horror to understand the change," he insisted. In the end, the scene stayed and became one of the most infamous moments in modern cinema. Not a gratuitous shock, but a brutal necessity. Without it, Derek's redemption would ring hollow. Ironically, what executives wanted gone became the single most unforgettable image of the film. Edward Furlong was nearly recast mid-shoot. Edward Furlong, fresh off Terminator 2, brought raw vulnerability to Danny Vineyard. But behind the scenes, his behavior worried producers. Furlong was struggling with personal issues, including substance use, and his reliability on set was questioned. At one point, the studio quietly considered replacing him with a safer choice. Norton reportedly vouched for Furlong, insisting that his authenticity brought grit the role needed. What audiences didn't realize is that Danny's fragility on screen wasn't entirely acting. It mirrored Furlong's own turmoil. Not just a performance, but a real-time reflection of a young actor unraveling under pressure. His survival in the role is a testament to Norton's influence and to Furlong's haunting naturalism. The tattoos were painstakingly researched. Derek's tattoos weren't random symbols. They were meticulously designed to reflect real white supremacist iconography. The art department worked with gang experts to ensure authenticity, from the swastika on Derek's chest to smaller details like lightning bolts and Celtic crosses. Norton had to sit through hours of application each day, enduring the discomfort to fully embody Derek's menace. The realism was so convincing that extras reportedly felt uneasy during filming, with some crew members avoiding Norton when he walked on set shirtless. Not fake Hollywood ink, but a chilling mirror of real hate symbols. What audiences didn't know is that the tattoos became more than props. They were psychological armor, forcing Norton deeper into the skin of a man built on rage. Norton transformed his body in just 8 weeks. Edward Norton didn't look anything like Derek Vinyard before filming. To embody the role of a menacing skinhead leader, he underwent a brutal transformation. Norton packed on nearly 30 pounds of muscle in just 8 weeks, training intensely and eating a protein-heavy diet. His chiseled physique shocked fans, since he had previously been known for playing intellectuals, not bruisers. Crew members recalled that when Norton first revealed his bulked-up body on set, the atmosphere shifted. He looked dangerous, commanding. It wasn't Hollywood movie magic, but raw dedication. The physicality gave Derek an intimidating presence, grounding his character in realism. What audiences didn't know was that this transformation almost broke Norton, who later admitted the training schedule was relentless. Not an actor merely playing a role, but a man reshaping himself to become the monster at the film's center. Real ex-neo-Nazis were used as extras. To achieve authenticity, the filmmakers hired real former neo-Nazis as background actors in certain scenes. These men, many heavily tattooed, added a frightening realism to Derek's crew. For cast and crew, their presence was unsettling. Some extras reportedly clashed with wardrobe over whether the costumes felt accurate to gang attire. It wasn't just acting. It was lived experience spilling onto the screen. Director Tony Kaye wanted the audience to feel the menace of real hate, not Hollywood caricatures. But with authenticity came tension. Actors like Furlong admitted feeling rattled by the intensity of these men lurking around set. Not scripted menace, but reality invading the fiction. What audiences didn't know is that authenticity blurred dangerously close to exploitation, forcing everyone on set to confront the real darkness fueling the story. The shower scene was brutal to film. The prison shower assault on Derek is one of the film's most disturbing sequences. What audiences didn't know is that filming it was equally harrowing. Norton threw himself into the scene, demanding raw realism, but the physicality took a toll. He reportedly bruised his ribs when slammed against the tile floor. The crew kept the set closed, limiting who could watch, to preserve dignity during the vulnerable shoot. Norton later admitted the emotional weight of the scene stayed with him long after filming wrapped. It wasn't just another prison cliché, it was a turning point that stripped Derek of his power and forced him into humility. Not just violence on screen, but an actor enduring psychological and physical punishment to capture one man's breaking point. The result is haunting, and it remains one of the most unforgettable depictions of prison brutality in cinema. A secret cameo by the director. Tony Kaye didn't just direct American History X, he snuck himself into it. In one fleeting scene, he appears as a school teacher listening to Danny read his paper aloud. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but it underscores Kaye's obsessive involvement in the project. He reportedly insisted on being present in nearly every frame of production, even operating the camera for certain shots. His cameo wasn't Hitchcockian fun, it was a symptom of his need for control. What audiences didn't realize was that his appearance symbolized how much he inserted himself into the fabric of the movie. Not just behind the lens, but literally in front of it. Ironically, despite this desperate need for authorship, Kaye would later spend years trying to distance himself from the film that defined his career. Studio executives tried to cut the ending. The film's ending, Danny's shocking death, nearly didn't survive. Executives felt it was too bleak, too devastating, and worried audiences would reject the film entirely. Norton fought back, insisting the story demanded a gut punch to show hate's cycle of destruction. Without Danny's death, he argued, Derek's redemption would lose meaning. The compromise? The ending stayed, but trimmed slightly from Kaye's darker original vision. It wasn't Hollywood neatness, but a brutal necessity. The choice gave the film its haunting legacy, ensuring it lingered in audiences' minds long after the credits rolled. And since we're at fact number 10, let's pause, because if you're finding these behind-the-scenes secrets as shocking as the film itself, go ahead and like and subscribe. That way, you won't miss the next deep dive into the chaos behind Hollywood's most infamous productions. Norton's Oscar campaign sparked more drama after American History X wrapped. Edward Norton earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. But the road to that recognition wasn't smooth. Director Tony Kaye, still enraged at losing creative control, publicly campaigned against Norton's nomination. He argued that Norton had hijacked his film and didn't deserve the acclaim. Meanwhile, the studio pushed Norton heavily during award season, using his intense transformation as a marketing hook. Behind the glitz of the red carpet, bitterness festered. What audiences didn't realize was that the very performance being celebrated was also the wedge that destroyed the relationship between star and director. Not a unified front of filmmaking brilliance, but a war carried into the spotlight of Hollywood's biggest stage. Norton didn't win, but the nomination cemented him as one of the most fearless actors of his generation, while Kaye slipped further into exile. The black and white prison sequences were a creative battle. One of the film's most striking stylistic choices is its use of black and white to separate past from present. But this wasn't an easy agreement. Tony Kaye wanted the film entirely in black and white, echoing the stark moral contrasts of Derek's world. The studio balked, fearing audiences would find it too art house. The compromise came in flashbacks, Derek's past drenched in monochrome, his present in color. Norton reportedly supported this choice, believing it amplified the sense of Derek's transformation. What audiences didn't know is that every reel of black and white footage was a battlefield of argument, with Kaye threatening to quit if executives forced changes. Not a stylistic flourish, but a war for tone. The result gave American History X its unforgettable visual language, half memory, half reality, all conflict. The school paper was almost scrapped. Danny's essay, the narration that frames the film, wasn't in the earliest drafts of the script. It was added later as a structural device, but nearly got scrapped during editing. Some executives thought it slowed down the pacing. Norton, however, saw it as the emotional backbone. It's the lens through which we see Derek's influence, he argued. Without Danny's words, the story risked losing its generational echo. The paper not only tied the narrative threads together, it gave the film its devastating closing lines. Not filler narration, but the film's soul. What audiences didn't realize is that the very device anchoring the movie's themes nearly disappeared into the cutting room trash. Its survival made American History X more than a character study. It became a generational tragedy. Norton's co-stars found him intimidating off-camera. Edward Norton is known for his intensity, but during American History X, that intensity bled into off-camera interactions. Colleagues recalled how he rarely broke character, carrying Derek's aura between takes. Some actors described feeling uneasy around him, especially during group scenes where his dominance was palpable. Even Edward Furlong admitted in interviews that Norton's presence kept me on edge. It wasn't method acting exactly, but it was immersion that blurred lines, not just playing a skinhead, but temporarily becoming one. What audiences didn't know was that the chilling authenticity came at a cost, an atmosphere of tension that made the set feel more like a battlefield than a workplace. The discomfort paid off on screen, embedding every scene with a raw volatility that couldn't be faked. The film's release was almost delayed indefinitely. After all the chaos, there was a real chance American History X wouldn't see the light of day. Studio executives grew weary of the endless battles between Kaye and Norton. Rumors swirled of shelving the film or dumping it with minimal promotion. It was Norton's rising star power and critical support from early test screenings that saved it. Reviewers hailed his performance as career-defining, forcing New Line Cinema to commit to a proper release. What audiences didn't realize is that the movie they watched in 1998 nearly died in the vault. Not an easy rollout, but a resurrection. Its survival turned it from a troubled production into a cult classic of the late 90s, destined to be studied for decades to come. Tony Kaye tried to sue the studio, with God as his co-lawyer. In perhaps the strangest twist of all, Tony Kaye attempted to sue New Line Cinema for $200 million after losing control of the film. But it wasn't a standard lawsuit. Kaye announced he wanted God listed as his co-counsel. The court, unsurprisingly, rejected the request. Not legal genius, but surreal spectacle. This bizarre stunt cemented his reputation as one of Hollywood's most eccentric figures. What audiences didn't know is that the man behind one of the most searing films of the 90s nearly turned its aftermath into performance art. Not just a movie controversy, but a legend of obsession, madness, and stubborn genius. American History X wasn't just a film about hate. It became a film born of conflict, obsession, and chaos. What we saw on screen was a powerful narrative of redemption, but what unfolded behind the scenes was a cautionary tale of clashing egos and shattered trust. If you found these secrets eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more untold stories, and remember, sometimes the real drama isn't on screen, it's in the making of it.